Hey, welcome to my little Mazda CX-5 little camper build out in the back here that's fully removable. We're going to go through a little build tour, why I designed it the way I designed it based on the Mazda CX-5. This is a 2016, just a small compact 5-seater SUV, and it has some nuances that some of the others don't, and we're going to go through that and talk about it. Then we're going to talk about this kitchen box, the slide out drawers, the bed box, and the platforms up there, kind of how I utilize them and why I built them the way that I built them. So I'm going to pull these out and we'll get started. With vehicle design considerations, the first thing is this lip on the trunk. Now it's great when you don't want groceries falling out the back or something, but I did have to raise everything up by 2 inches, so it was kind of empty space a little bit, but I had to raise it up so that way it would be flush and the drawers can clear the top lip. So the second thing is actually the wheel wells. So I wanted to utilize this extra 4 or 5 inches over here and have the mattress come to the top of this. And so that's where I gauged my height off of for the whole thing, was I wanted to be able to utilize this space because between the wheel wells is like 40 inches. And then if you go from this side over to that side, it's like 50 inches. So then you're at like a full-size bed. So I definitely wanted to utilize that space there, which made it a little bit higher up, but you can still, at least for me, you can still have your knees and stuff above, but we'll show that later. So that was the second thing. The third thing was how to anchor it down. And as you can see, there's those hooks up there. We'll come around for a different view. So there's these hooks on the side. Now I did replace these hooks with metal ones that you can get just on Amazon, and there's a little cover. You pop the cover off, you pull the bolt out, and you put these metal ones in. The original stock ones from Mazda are plastic, and they wouldn't hold anything. I was afraid of breaking them with doing anything. So there's one on this side, and then there's one on that side, and I replaced them both with metal ones so that way I could anchor the whole thing down with a ratchet strap. Now the next thing that you have to consider, which I believe is on a lot of SUVs, the RAV4s, the Foresters, is this right here, and that's the seat. The seats don't lay flat. So there's like a 4 or 5 inch rise from the back all the way to the front. It might be slightly more than that. I don't remember right off the top of my head the measurement. So you have to consider that rise when designing the whole thing to get your bed flat. It's great after a day of paddleboarding, you throw a blanket back here or something like that, and it's kind of nice that it's raised, but not when you're sleeping. So, and then of course you flip the seats forward, and that measurement when these seats are flipped all the way forward ends up being 78 inches from the back to the front. So that was what made me start building the platform. Was I grabbed a tape measure and I measured that out and realized I could sleep back here just fine. And so that's kind of the basis behind the design considerations for this specific vehicle, given the dimensions of the CX-5. So the Subaru Forester, the RAV4, things like that are all similar, and I'm not exactly sure on their criteria, but a lot of them translate to the smaller mid-size SUVs. So first, out of the 2 boxes, we have the kitchen box, and we have the bed box over here, the platform. So we'll talk about the kitchen box first. First, as you can see, we'll go underneath, and this is what we talked about. There's that 2-inch lip that is just unutilized space, unfortunately, under the kitchen box specifically, and that's to, again, account for that lip on the rear of the trunk. And I know not all SUVs have that, so if you didn't have that, you could just cut it off, and it would only be, I believe it's 10 inches from the top, so it'd only be 8 inches, which is great because then it could fit under a lot of different platforms that you can buy. So anyway, first off, I have this. This is just like a little gate or like a jewelry box latch, and it just spins forward like this, locks it in place. I didn't have this for a long time, and I just shoved paper towels in the front as the drawer would slam my trunk. So anyway, I'll go under here and I'll kind of show you the design. So you have the first one. Now these slides, if you notice, don't go all the way to the bottom. So these are 24-inch slides that I got in an industrial warehouse for $2. And that's what kind of started this build. Originally I found slides and they were like $30 to $50 a pair. So I found those and decided to go ahead and build it because of that. And you can see the second set as well in there. They're 24-inch. I did find a set of 30s or 28s rather, so I am probably going to switch that, but I think I may actually just switch and do a whole new one. So as you see, this one slides out first, or as you saw, and then the second one comes with it. And I'll show you that in the car in just a second, but that's kind of the overall underneath and that. So then we'll talk about the water tower, but we'll talk about the inside of it as soon as I put it in the car. So let's put it in. All right, it's now in the car, so you can kind of see how it sits. This one goes on the left side, and again, you can see how it's kind of flush with that wheel well. I measured it up to the top of there so that the mattress would have something to grab onto. So we'll unlatch it there, and as it pulls out, you can pull this one out first if you want to, right? And that's a table, put stuff on, whatever else. As you can see, it does slowly pull out. There are no lockouts on these because they were the cheaper ones. It'd be nice if you had lockouts, then you wouldn't have to have it. So the whole thing pulls out, as you can see. It does get a little heavy as it's wanting to tip out, and that's what the anchors are for. So I left a cutting board in there on accident. These are just cheap IKEA ones. They actually work really well. You can check out another video of all the things that I bring with me on a trip. So now it's out. So this doesn't go out all the way, but I do put pots and pans and cups and storage stuff back in here. This is an additional like 6 inches or so. So I just slide things back in there, whether it's utensils, knives, plates, whatever. And this specific one was actually made for just a single burner stove, and I'll grab that and show you. Okay, so this is the stove that I use. I picked it up at Costco. It's like 30 bucks. You can find them on Amazon. They have those little butane containers. I already had one at home, so this is why I built this around this. But you have space in the front. As you can see, the front lip is cut down, so you can access whatever stove you need. You can use a smaller stove, the little 2 burners, some of the Eurekas, stuff like that. But again, this is designed just and built around this because I rarely need 2 burners when I'm out. I've used this with my kids camping, and like I said, I rarely use 2 burners. It's usually frying something up, if I'm frying up eggs, something like that. So unless you were doing eggs and toast, you had one of those cool toast things. But anyway, so that's kind of how I roll with it. Now next is, this is the water tower, and I use this and I'll take it off if I'm going with more than 1 person sleeping in the car, but generally so far if there's more than 1 person, I'll take a tent. So I do the water tower, and I'll show you that, and it fits right in there. I believe this is a 22 liter, so 6 gallons I believe. Yeah, 6 gallons. So the Reliance container, and this is the perfect height. I adjusted this so that a Nalgene bottle fits right underneath it, and then you fill it up like this. I was going to cut out and weld a disc here, but this has worked so far. It just pours right through there, and it's fine. I did cut these. We have a small plasma CNC machine in the shop I work at, so I cut these little tabs out, just welded the feet to it, and then I stick bins. I have bins that I made that stick underneath here. Again, you can see those in another video. And so anyway, that also, the weight of that also keeps it from sliding out. As you can see, now it's weighted down and it's working just fine. So the water helps keep it down, but it also gets strapped down from the backside, and I'll show you that in a second once I put the other bin in. This little thing, I just duct taped it and put a piece of wood back there 3 years ago, and it's just stayed there, so that works just fine. Again, that is the full kitchen slide out, and now we're going to put in this other box. We'll chat about it first. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is all 1/2-inch plywood. So except for this right here, which is a 3/4 inch solid pine, and then it's been sealed and everything. The whole box has been sealed so that it's waterproof and with a polyurethane coating. So again, this is all 1/2-inch. I had an extra sheet laying around and was going down south for a canyoneering trip in Utah, so that's what I built up. This is just a 3-sided box with a back and a top, obviously, so That's all it is, and I'll show you as soon as that gets in the car. It's super simple, but this is the main platform at the base. So I'll throw that in and I'll show you. Okay, so it's in now. As you can see, I was going to put a drawer in this originally. That's what I was going to use those 28-inch slides for, is to have a big drawer that comes out and has all my stuff in it. But I decided that it's better to not have the drawer, because then I can utilize that extra 2 inches of space. And as you can see in one of my other videos, and I think in 2 of them it shows, so I have a privacy little pop-up changing tent that I put underneath here, and then I put a chair on the right side, and then I have a food bin that encompasses about the top 4 or 5 inches here, and then I take the whole food bin inside, fill it with all my dry goods and everything, and then that just slides in here. So that way when I'm doing kitchen stuff, right, I'll just pull this guy out, has my pots and pans and utensils and everything. This is my food bin, pull out the food bin, and then that's how I do it. So that's been really easy, and it was super simple to build this box just because I didn't have to add a drawer to it. So on this, as you can see, it is flush with that corner, so it gives me the full 50 inches. So this over here is 30 inches on this side, so I can fit, currently I have a Hest mattress, and it's their wide, their XL, and that's what I use in here, and it fits perfectly from there to that side, and that's what I measured for. And then I stuff, again, another video, I put a bunch of stuff over here. So we're gonna run around to the front, and you'll see these little 2x2s. All right, so we'll come around. So these little 2x2s is what the next platforms sit on, and I'll get to those. So if I am camping with just my boys or something, my kids, somebody else, and I'm just doing a tent, that little bolt over there, I put a strap going from that anchor up over the bolt, and then it comes down to this anchor, and then I can flip the seats up completely, and then my kids can sit back here as we go camping, and I can keep all the same organizational stuff that I have when I go by myself. So that's kind of how I designed it, is these boxes are separate, and then we'll get to the bed platforms. All right, these are the bed platforms that you kind of saw on the extension in the front in the first part of this before I took it out. So this part flips forward, and that gets the full height. Again, I had these 2x2s laying around from another project, so I just use these as kind of the supports and the stringers underneath. And there's those little pieces are what make it so that it balances out between the top of that and then the raised seat. So the biggest thing about this though is how it anchors in, and these are just bolts. So I countersunk a hole in here and then sandwich the bolt between the two. The head of the bolt is in there, and then I just use these little wing nuts. I use these wing nuts to anchor it down so the bed doesn't move at all. So then this is the passenger, or the driver's side, the smaller side. I sleep on the passenger side, so that way if I'm just by myself I can kick that seat forward, and I can still jump in the driver's seat and drive off if I need to, just for that. And then, so this is the other side, the driver's side seat. So I will throw these in, and then we will show them in their place. I feel like I got pretty lucky when I designed these out that they fit pretty well right through the door. There you go, that one's in. There you go, there you go. Now that these are in, you can see these will flip forward. I'll show you that in a second. But if you look underneath here, you can see where those wing nuts go. They go underneath there, and it locks the bed down in place. So there's just a 2x2 hole in the top, and those bolts go down, and then as you can see, those things make it so that the whole thing is completely level with the seats. And I stow shovels, chairs, shoes, all sorts of stuff underneath here when I'm out. So, and weirdly enough, that middle seat is an inch higher than the other one, so yes, I had to level the feet out. That left one on this main platform is an inch shorter, which is kind of strange. So anyway, that was part of the design considerations for the vehicle as well. So now we'll move the front seat, and I'll show you with that flip forward. Okay, so normally this hole here, there's a 2x2 with a little dowel on the top that I forgot at home that didn't bring to the shop for this video. So anyway, this flips all the way forward, and then it rests on that dowel, and the dowel goes underneath in that hole. I have seen some people, they'll do just a strap that goes up around the front seat right there and then anchors there, and you can adjust it. You know, it has like a what's it called? Tri-glide and some webbing. So you could do that instead. I've thought about doing that instead of doing this way for the next setup that I build. But there it is. So there's the whole thing forward. I'll slide the other seat forward so you can see it too. So there's both of them all the way down. So you can see, and that one also has a hole for a pole to go underneath. So again, this whole thing, as you can see, this is notched right here because the wheel well is there, and that's what creates the 50 inches wide. So it's quite a large surface. I do have foam mattress that goes over to there, and then I have a small piece that goes the rest of the way, and then you just put a full-size sheet over the whole thing, and it works quite well. But again, in order to sleep 2 people, you do have to take down the water tower. Okay, that concludes the little camper tour of the Mazda CX-5, how I built it, why I built it. We can go into more details later in another video when I build another box like this one, a little simpler, a little easier put together. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested in that, and if you'd be interested in plans for that box, because I do have plans for a box that's similar to this. And if you're interested, drop a comment below. Also, any questions you might have that I didn't cover or something that may have been confusing, please also drop a comment. I'm more than happy to answer anything. And also, if you do like this or like the video, please like and subscribe to it. I'm going to do more like the build out here, as well as figure out a different water system with an integrated pump and a little sink that flips up, things like that. So if you're interested in more, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.